So, Shanti, and welcome. Welcome to those who are able to be with me here in person, and also greetings to those of you joining on later on the YouTube channel. Those of you that are tuning in for the first time, my name is Shailen, and my mother and I are students of the Brahma Kumari Center in London. And these chit chats are really designed for regular students of the Brahma Kumaris to be able to explore some of the topics and themes. And also sometimes we have some meditations together. And the idea is that we churn the topics of the ocean of knowledge and try and extract more butter from all of the great richness that is provided in the Muralis. So welcome to those of you who are here with me at the moment. And I wonder if any of you would like to start us off by sharing anything or asking anything.
Shanti, everyone. I just needed to just get some clarification or some guidance on the meditation. While meditating sometimes, and I suppose it's people who have a lot of responsibilities, like mothers, caring for family. Sometimes you sit in meditation and your thoughts are not there. And I was reading something from one of these books where you just sit in silence, say nothing, do nothing, just sit in silence and just get rid of these thoughts. And sometimes I think I'm cheating myself when I do that, and I'm not following Baba's Shrimat. And I feel guilty when I do that sometimes. I don't know how effective that is to get your mind all settled and clear of all these racing thoughts, as it were. I don't know whether you could give a little guidance on that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a really good topic, sister. So it allows me to talk a little bit more technically on something I was thinking about this week, but so far I've not done any recording on it. And it's this definition of meditation that we have particularly in Brahma Kumari's Raj Yoga. And the word meditation, it is a European word. It originates from Greek and then Latin, and it means to ponder upon something. So to ponder upon something, to reflect upon something. This is the Western word of meditation. What you will hear in the Muralis is that Baba doesn't use this word. He doesn't actually use the word meditation. And he tends to use this word remembrance. So it's a little bit different. What you find is that there are three different traditions surrounding meditation. But there are probably more, but I'm simplifying it into three. So one, what is more of a Western style of meditation. So, for example, over the centuries, there are people who have written books like My Meditations on Nature, My Meditations on Walking, because it means a pondering, a reflection on something. And so that's perfectly fine, and that is one type of meditation. So we could use that type of meditation in a way that you're describing, in a sense, where you've got many thoughts, and the way you're suggesting is just to stay still and see if they go away. But another way can be, really, we've got to think about what's going on in our mind and analyze it and deal with it. And for many years, I used to write a diary because I used to find that I woke up in the morning from Amritvela just so full of thoughts. And when you've got such massive amounts of thoughts in your mind, you can't really remember Baba. you can't really have that yoga. So one thing that I've always liked to do is have slightly longer Amrit Vedas. And I can remember, say, 10, 15 years ago, I used to wake up at 2:30, and I reckon 1 hour to 90 minutes it used to take me just to empty my mind of all of these many thoughts. But I used to find that writing to Baba about them, that was a good way. And then some of those thoughts, it's about, because part of that meditation and pondering is about strategizing what to do. So a lot of the thoughts, they're thoughts that have been filled into our mind based upon interactions we've had in the previous day, or not even the previous day, just previously. And another set of thoughts will be things we're going to do. So what happens is we're thinking about, how should I speak? What should I do? What should be my strategy? There can be that type of thinking. So I would put all of this in that first classification of meditation, which is it's a more Western style of meditation where we are pondering. And I do find that type of meditation useful. And I do strategize. So I like to have clarity. The difference between just pondering and making it a Raj Yoga meditation is what I was mentioning, that I will ponder in a conversation with Baba. So I will involve Baba into my pondering. And this is the difference. It's not just that I am thinking about what's going on, but I'm talking to Baba about this. And so what I find is that nowadays, so I've been doing this for years, like 20, 25 years. And the last number of years, I don't keep a diary anymore, but I used to find it very, very useful. So I do recommend it, because when you write something, somehow it gives you more rationality. So when you see it on the page, there's more rationality. Sometimes if you just have thoughts in your mind, the thoughts overwhelm you. And I can remember one occasion feeling very, very stressed, like I had so many things to do, and I was feeling overwhelmed. And that was going on for like weeks. And then one day I just thought, let me just write to Baba what I got to do. And like hundreds of things, I thought I better sit down and write. And when I actually wrote down, I only had 4 things really to do. But in my head, it was hundreds of things to do. So sometimes it's that. And Daddy Janki used to give public lectures on this theme, because there's this theme of busyness. She learned this word busy when she came to the UK. She said in all the years, it never even occurred to her that she was busy. And so this was a new concept to her. And she was reflecting on, why does she not feel busy? Whereas when she meets anyone really in the West, everyone talks about how busy they are. And of course, it's a very regular topic in lectures, isn't it? About anxiety, stress, this type of thing. And she said, she would just reflect on it. She can't remember ever feeling anxious or stressful or busy. And she came to the conclusion it was to do with the way she thinks. And she would say that all of you feel busy because you think so much. You think so much and you talk so much. And then you actually do less. So the proportion is thoughts are huge, words are many, and actions are few. But for her, she thinks very little. She speaks a little bit more than she thinks. And she focuses on doing a lot. And she said, this is the way that you will conquer stress and busyness. It's by not thinking so much. So there's a training process that we have to go through with our mind. where we're teaching our mind how to think, what to think about. So I see all of this writing to Baba as part of that process. Initially, when we come to Baba, for most of us, we don't have any control at all about what's going on in our mind. So it's not even though we hear from Baba and like we hear classes around controlling our mind, changing our thoughts, probably we can't even do that. It's just thoughts are coming in the mind. And then particularly where we've got an emotional trigger, it's like a flood, like a river of thoughts. So I found that the way in which I could change my pattern of thinking is listening to the Morley, then writing to Baba about what's going on in my mind. And then I had another set of letters, which was me writing to my mind. So I then used to write to my mind based upon the Morley point. So some of you have commented in the last few weeks where we've done meditation commentaries, like how much my meditation commentary is basically the Morley, right? It's basically a Morley point, which we're then experiencing. That's because I've taught my mind to think along the Morley point line, right? So what happens is we listen to the Morley, but our mind is still thinking according to our old way of thinking. And so through this process of this first type of meditation, I was writing to my mind for years. Baba tells us to think in this way. Baba tells us to write in that. Do you remember this point? So Devi Janki used to say, the mind is the child of the family. And the intellect has to be a good mother. And a mother has two roles, nourishment and teaching. And so the intellect is getting the knowledge from Baba, but we can't just keep it in the intellect. We've got to use it. And the first place we've got to use it is with our own mind. So Daddy used to appreciate the introspective BKs because they're actually really working on changing the way they think. And so what you'll find is that there's a big connection between how we talk to ourselves and also how we speak and how we think. So we got to actually work on both of these. There's a whole series of Morley's where Brahmababa talks about this self-talk. So he describes how he talks to himself, how he talks to Baba. So that provides a role model. And you'll see it's like very knowledgeful, like it's a very knowledgeful way of talking. So what you find is that you've got patterns of self-talk which are not knowledgeful. They need to change. So that's where we're feeling knowledge, because it's like the mind is being supported by this inner self-talk or not being supported. So we got to make sure we're supporting the mind to think in a different way by creating a self-talk that's based on knowledge. And my personal experience was writing that down gave extra benefit to simply just telling yourself inside. So I would recommend to all of you, give that a go. Write it down. Let your mind read it through your eyes. There's something about transformative about it. Then secondly, Baba talks to us quite often in the Morali about the language we use. So he says there's a BK dictionary. And there are some words he doesn't want BKs speaking. And why that is there is also a connection between the way we speak and how our mind thinks. So you'll recall that in recent months, we've had Muralis where Baba has said he doesn't like the word sometimes. He doesn't want the word why. He wants you to fly. Like he doesn't want the word I. He wants the word Baba. Things like this. Because actually, even if internally we haven't changed, if we begin changing our practical language, our mind is hearing through the ears. So there's something about when our mind sees something through the eyes, and hears something through the ears and sees ourselves doing it, that it begins to get some message. Remember, the mind is a child. So then a child is basically following the parents' messages, isn't it? The most important role model or caregiver is whatever is the main role model that the child is living with. The child follows that. And basically, what Daddy would say is we've been terrible parents, like half a cycle, absolutely terrible parents. So this child is not that mine's fault. It's just a child. But the good thing about it is children are adaptable. They can change. They've got plasticity. So with Baba's help, Baba's the father. So Daddy would say, we got to be the mother. We got to be the mother for our own mind. Nurture and nourish the mind with Baba's knowledge and, of course, through Baba's yoga. So this is that first type of meditation. Then the second stream of, so that's the European meditation, means pondering, reflections upon something. And that type of meditation is also part of Raj Yoga, but Baba doesn't actually use this word, the European word meditate really in the moments. But it is there. And you'll hear it in this way of self-talk, that type of language Baba will use. The second stream of meditation is from India. So it's Hinduism, Buddhist type of stream of meditation. And it's linked with concentration on something. And so this concentration can take different forms. So usually it's linked with a mantra. And the guru is given a mantra and will say, just repeat that mantra inside, concentrate on this mantra, or concentrate on this candle, concentrate on this word. And so what you were describing about just sitting in silence and trying to empty the mind is linked with this stream of meditation. So the Hindus will refer to Shiva Shankar as the greatest yogi. And they will say that it's only Shiva Shankar who could totally discipline his mind, like empty the mind. This is why he is known as the yogi of yogis, the great yogi. And he's shown in the Himalayas sitting in that yogic position. And so many will try and emulate him, thinking that this is that tapasya. And so you've got that stream of meditation and yoga. But Baba actually tells us not to do. So that does not belong in Raj Yoga. We don't. So it does exist. It is an Indian tradition, and probably it exists in other places in the world as well. But you will find that some Hindu teachers and also some Buddhist teachers, they will teach that type of yoga, but that doesn't form part of Raj Yoga. So then there's a third stream. Now I'm simplifying. I'm saying there's just three. So scholars of these things, they will come and say there's 100 or something. But okay, but I'm just simplifying. So this third stream, in Hinduism, it's called Bhakti Yoga. In Sufism, it's called this remembrance. And in Sikhism, it's called this smriti, or similar. And this Baba calls remembrance. Okay, so this is the main form of meditation, of yoga, that Shiv Baba teaches, and it's called remembrance. So there's many types of yogas, but one type of yoga is called Bhakti Yoga. Now, in the Muralis, we tend to refer to yoga in a negative because Baba uses it as like a contrast, half a cycle path of bhakti, half a cycle not. So he uses it in that sense. And why he uses it that way is he uses the word bhakti to mean any spiritual teaching given by a human being. And he says knowledge is only two types, like scientific knowledge that we learn in schools and spiritual knowledge, he says only Shiv Baba can give. So he is very, very particular that only him, the ocean of knowledge, has the right to share spiritual knowledge. And so he calls every other spiritual knowledge bhakti. But when the average Indian uses the word bhakti, they are using it to mean loving feelings, devotional feelings. So this bhakti yoga is of this, like you will even meet people, they have this name. It's quite a popular name, bhakti. Usually it's a female name. And so it's not a negative in the standard usage. So bhakti yoga means where someone has a particular deity and the attachments that they've got from human beings. They love their wife or husband, they love their children, they love their parents, they love their friends. In bhakti yoga, they are transferring those feelings of love to their deity. And so this is that type of bhakti yoga. So you'll hear in the Murli where Baba talks of the sannyasis teaching about remembering the element of Brahm. So that's that other type of meditation that Baba doesn't teach. So he always says, don't, they've taught you just to empty your mind, remember the great light, but how can you have a relationship with the great light of Brahm? You can't have that. So Baba is saying the actual Hinduism is based on this bhakti yoga. So it's sannyasis that have taught about all this emptying the mind and this, that. But actually the tradition in India was always that people would have some sort of special deity and you can choose. So the idea is that everyone accepts that it's one God, but the different deities are like their own personal preference. And that would be like a family preference. So they might just follow the family deity, or they could just choose their own. You're perfectly entitled. But it is the belief that that is like a one part of the one, like the whole. So they don't really believe there are many gods. They believe there's one God, and that deity is one segment of that one God. But of course, that then leads to yoga being with that image, right? So Baba will also then speak morally about that then our yoga is with, always it's a bodily form, like it's not an incorporeal form. So this is called Bhakti Yoga. The equivalent in Sufism, so Baba's morals are basically the combination of the Bhakti Yoga tradition, Guru Nanak's Sikhism tradition, and like Rumi's Sufism tradition. So the Murlis are basically bringing together these three traditions and clarifying them. And according to the drama, Brahma Baba's final birth, it's like a preparation of Brahma Baba, you see. So he was born into a family that is in Sindh, which is a heavily Sikh area. So the Sindhis all study the Sikh scriptures from childhood, and they memorize them. Half his family, the Kripalani family, so Jayanti-ben is a Kripalani, Devi Janki was a Kripalani, they're all part of the wider extended family of Kripalanis. Half of that Kripalani family are Sufis. So Brahma Baba mentions in the Murli his uncle, Uncle Mulchand, and he was a Sufi saint. In fact, there's like a proper memorial to him. He was a very famous charitable saint in that area. And he was Brahma Baba's mentor. So he's memorized the Sikh scriptures. His mentor is a Sufi. And he himself is a Bhakti Yoga tradition. And his guru, his family's guru, since his grandfather, was a Gujarati guru. So he was a vegetarian, the only vegetarian among like that whole family, because Gujaratis tend to be vegetarian. And that's because his gurus were Gujarati. And so he followed the Vaishnava, they were worshippers of Vishnu and the incarnations of Vishnu. And they were vegetarian tradition, Bhakti Yoga. So according to the drama, before Shiv Baba comes to explain the moralities and speak the moralities, Brahma Baba's had 50 years of exposure to this. The uncle is Mulchand Salavan. Greetings to you. Good to have you here. So Mulchand, Moolchand, Mulchand. And Brahma Baba's had 50 years of exposure to these three traditions. Then Shiv Baba comes and explains basically these three traditions. So he's saying that his Raj Yoga is like captured in these three traditions, but it's like nothing is totally clear till Shiv Baba points it all out to us. So Baba is saying to us that he mainly wants us to focus on this concept of remembrance. So this remembrance is linked with this tradition. So it's not part of the European pondering meditation tradition. It's not part of the sannyasi type of concentration type of meditation, but it features in these, we're using slightly different languages. So those of you who know a bit the Sufi background, and Rumi is probably the most famous, particularly in the West, although there will be other saints. And Rumi is talking about the beloved. So there's some Murli songs that are Sufi Murli songs. That the one is comes to my mind is Jo piya ke saath hai, unke liye barsat hai. So the one who's with the beloved, there's rain for that one. And that rain means it's a metaphor for luck. There's always luck because when you're in hot countries like that, the rain is really so vital. So it's a sign of luck. And biya, this word biyu or biya, is a Sufi word for beloved. And so this type of word, and early days when Shiv Baba was coming, Shiv Baba hadn't explained even his name. So for the first few years, the daddies and Brahma Baba, they used to call Biyu, Biya, the beloved. They used to use this Sufi word, that this is the beloved. They were all from that region. They were all from that tradition. And so it's capturing, if you read the Sufi traditions, they talk a lot about just becoming lost in the love of the beloved, just being lost in the remembrance. And you might have seen like Sufism is really originating from Turkey and then sort of spread around. So you would see they're called whirling dervishes. They spin around and they're looking upwards, at the greatness of the beloved, and they're just getting intoxicated. So we have a lot of this language in the Morali, becoming intoxicated, becoming lost in the remembrance of one. And then you got the Bhakti traditions. So what Baba will refer to, he'll often remember the devotee Meera. And Meera was a devotee of Krishna. She was a queen, but she was just lost in this relationship. So she's the Bhakti Yoga tradition. She just wanted to be married to Krishna. And when you hear the experiences of quite a number of the deities, they phrase it this way, that since my childhood, I just wanted to be Meera. So they use this type of phrases. And Dedi Prakashmani's is probably the most well-known experience. I think she was one of five sisters or something like that. And her father was an astrologer. And Hinduism is a very astrological religion. So at the time of birth, they take out a birth chart, but he himself was an astrologer. So he took out her birth chart and it came out that she's going to be Meera. So he had understood from the beginning. So when she was 13 or something like 15 years old, something like that, that was when, yeah, I think 13 years old, that was when Shibaba came, and she met Brahma Baba, and she went to her parents to say she wanted to just surrender. And her father, it was no surprise to him. Her mother began crying because she had dreams of her daughter marrying, all the things that mothers have. So Betty said she began taking and making a big fuss. But her father was totally chilled out by this. He said, yeah, I already know all this. I knew what was going to happen. So she had her father's permission, so her mother couldn't do it. And so in her case, she had no obstacles from her family. And she was just able, because it was this concept of the mirror. And it means that they're just lost in the love of the remembrance of one. So you've got the Rumi tradition and you've got the Mira tradition. And then, yes, and then the Guru Nanak, he's a religious father, and he came approximately 550 years ago in that same region. So he's right in between, like the region in between, like the Sufism and say Gujarat is the Punjab area. And he comes right in there in the middle. And he is born into a Hindu family. But his parents die young and he's adopted by Muslims. And so he's then prepared. And then the religious father, the guru, enters him at some point. And so Sikhism is the fusion of the Bhakti Yoga tradition and Sufism. And that's what Sikhism is. And so Guru Nanak, he focuses on this word, remembrance. And he uses this term, ek, omkar. So if you use this word ek, ek, it means one, but if you write the word like long, like in writing, ek, like we would write it O-N-E. And then it can, when you say ek, it can mean many as well. The word ek written means like many things. You can interpret it according to the sentence. But he deliberately uses the numerical. And Omkar means the incorporeal. So he focuses on the one, the incorporeal. And Sister Jayanti was sharing that she was in Madhuban when she was a teenager back in 1966. And she hadn't fully decided at that point she wanted to be a BK, but her mother was a BK since 1957. So she was visiting Madhuban with her, and they were all related anyway. So she knew Bharara, and she knew Dedi Janki. And Dedi Janki, after the partition of India, Sister Jayanti's family had moved to Pune, and Dedi Janki was the center teacher of Pune Center. So her mother had come to knowledge at Dedi Janki Center. So they knew each other from then as well. And so Dedi Janki was her mentor anyway, to some extent from childhood. So Dedi Janki had taken them to Madhuban, and then they were visiting from London. And then she recalls being part of the chit chat with Brahma Baba. And one of the BKs had asked Brahma Baba, why does he refer to the Sikh scriptures more than any other scripture, apart from the Gita? So if you look, he refers to the Gita, and then the second one he will refer to is the Sikh scriptures. They're the two most common references in the Morals. So the Gita we know, because Shiv Baba is explaining, he is actually the sermonizer of the Gita. And this Gita means song. He's the song of God. And he explains that this is the original scripture of the path of Bhakti, but it's been changed over time. And the Morley, so he explains different bits and pieces of that, Morley by Morley. But then it's also a lot of reference to the Sikh scriptures. So Baba said that it's because Guru Nanak is the most recent of the main religious fathers. So there's not been so long to corrupt everything and change everything. And also Guru Nanak wrote things down, so it helps. And so there's a lot more about remembering the incorporeal. He is the one who is Nirakar, Nirankar, the egoless one, the viceless one. So a lot of Baba's slogans is got Guru Nanak has remembered. Baba tells us that these religious fathers, they hear the Murli at confluence age. So then they store some of the points of the Murli, and then they come down in the next cycle. And because in their first birth, they don't come in their own body, they incarnate into a body of their own, they're able to recollect knowledge from the previous cycle. Because we are born through a womb, we forget. If you're born as a child, you don't have inherent knowledge, you have to acquire knowledge. So these religious fathers, all of them, they incarnate into someone else's body, and they're all teachers. And they all come and they teach like segments of the Murli. So none of them have the full picture like Shiv Baba does, but they have segments of the Murli. With some of them, we got some writing that helps us out. But like with Christ, we don't actually have any writing. Everything in the Bible was written by others afterwards. So it will be interpreted to some extent. But with some of the other religious fathers, we've got direct writing. However, a lot of oral traditions are involved and so on. But with Guru Nanak, it's not that long ago. And so that's why Baba also uses that. So it's these different types of traditions. And from what I can see in the Murlis, we are taught two of them. The remembrance tradition, that's the main one. So like today's Murli, Baba is saying to us, he wants us to develop constant remembrance. So that means that you're transferring your attachments from this world to Shiv Baba. He is your beloved. He is your support. He is everything, because you understand you're a soul. And as a soul, you know that no one can be with you down here. You leave your body, you're going to Shiv Baba. He is the one holding your hand. It's an eternal relationship with him. But with everyone else, of course, it's eternal as we're brother souls, but not in any other relationship. Everything else then is temporary. And as we all know, human life is about getting attached and then losing those attachments and having the trauma of those attachments. But the yogi is practicing this detachment from those attachments and attachment to Shiv Baba or to God while we're alive. So Baba, I think it was Wednesday's morning, he was using this phrase, dying alive. And this is what this means. It means dying from the attachments while we are in those relationships. So he uses this phrase, thorn and power, break and fulfill at the same time. So it means internally, we are, I think breaking sounds a bit violent, really. It's more about transferring the dependency to Shiv Baba. That's what remembrance is. So Baba keeps saying to us in the Thursday bold messages, fill yourself, become full. And you might remember it was in a Sunday Morally a few Sundays ago. I reckon it was the 7th of November, 1995. And I think we just heard the 31st December, 95. So it's a few, maybe 6, 7 Sundays ago. And Baba was saying that the yogi soul who fills their heart 100% with Shiv Baba's love at Amrit Vela cannot get attracted in the day to anyone else. But if you leave a gap in the morning, so maybe your yoga just wasn't quite fully connected in the morning, you didn't absorb fully Shiv Baba's love in the morning at Amrit Vela, you left a gap. That's where Maya comes. That's your gap. of mind. But if you are filling yourself every morning, so my experience is my absorption has continued to increase. And I've been sharing with you that this year I'm taking it very, very seriously, my Raki promise, that there are 9 points of mukti, freedom, that Baba is walking us through in this season's Murlis. So this is you might remember it started off with freedom from anger. That was at the end of 94, 95 season. And now we've gone into the 95, 96 season. And Baba is walking us through the other 8 points. So like freedom from waste thoughts, freedom from attachments, freedom from dissatisfaction, and so on. Baba is freedom from words that disturb others. Like he's walking us through the freedoms he wants us to have. So I've got this determined thought. When 95, I was 17 years old. I was not ready to do this then. Now I'm ready. Now a drama is giving me a chance to hear the Murlis again. I got the determined thought that this year I'm going to inculcate all of these 9. Now, what my experience is as these are being put into practice, my absorption in yoga is also increasing. Very interesting, right? So it's actually these freedoms, they increase absorption power in yoga. If we are not free from anger, waste thoughts, attachments, then the next morning in Amrit Vela, we're also not absorbing. We can be remembering, but we're not absorbing. So one thing Baba's been telling us about Mama and Baba is how they have this amazing absorption. Like they just from day one were able to absorb. And this morning, Baba was talking to us about not increasing. Well, maybe some of you have not heard the Morley yet, according to your time zones, but Baba's talking to us about, okay, you've got the burden of sins of the past lives, but now if you don't have the power to tolerate, you're going to react and increase. You'll be adding to the burden. So then you'll never clear your account because you're just adding and adding and adding. And once you're a BK, it gets multiplied 100-fold because Baba is saying, look, you're knowledgeable now. When you didn't have this knowledge, then your karma just accumulates one to one. But now you've got a big responsibility. You've got God with you. You've got God's knowledge with you. You can't really make excuses. So you get multi-million for the good you do and when you follow Srimad, and you get 100-fold sinful. But if you do anything against Baba Srimad, so there's a acceleration of both. And so Baba's saying to us, you've got to have freedom from this, because if you accumulate more, then how this 100-fold manifests is you'll sit in yoga and you won't be able to concentrate and you won't be able to absorb. That is the punishment for Brahman. So anytime you feel you can't really connect properly with Baba, that is 100-fold punishment for something we've done that is against Srimad. So it's not that we will get that at the end, like on Judgment Day. It will come as an obstacle in our yoga. Let's take the example. You got angry at someone. Now you're a BK, your conscience is going to bite you, right? You know you shouldn't have got angry. So what will happen is you'll sit with Baba, and instead of being like, oh, wow, Baba, wonderful Baba, and being in that higher intoxication, you'll be sitting there, sorry, Baba, oh, I regret, and you'll be reliving your anger. This is your punishment. So you have deprived yourself from becoming full because actually your conscience is biting and stopping you from having the yoga. That's what means 100-fold. That's the meaning. So Baba is saying you're going to have to, through the day, keep the attention Then the next morning, fill yourself. And then through the day, distribute everything you share. So today's blessing is about sharing the power of silence. And so Baba says he's giving a challenge to the people who are working. I know some of you work, but also some of you're working in your homes very busily, you're looking after families. And actually, if you're living in a center, it's still very busy. So the thing about remembrance, I'm not sure it makes much difference whether you live in a center, whether you live in Madhuban, whether you go out to work. Everyone's busy. It's about attention. But definitely those going out to work in the world, you've got some added challenges. But Baba doesn't lower his standard. He says, you got to also have constant yoga. So he's giving that challenge. And what Baba's doing is, he is focusing us upon this yoga through the day because he's saying you are a blessing for wherever you go. You will spread Baba's vibrations wherever you are. That place is blessed, isn't it? All of you saw the other week that we had Brother Surya at the University of Berlin. And you look at when Daddy Janki had come to our place in the Midlands, we'd had a big program, about 300-400 people had come. And at the end of the program, Daddy just went into some silence and she was talking to me. It was like in front of the whole gathering. I was sitting at the front. And she said that Baba showed her that the silence from here will spread throughout the UK and then into the world. And then you look, all these years later, I ended up getting a professorship at that university, right in the middle of England, at that. And that, as you all know, that employee is very cooperative, looks after us a lot, looks after Ranjan Ben a lot. And then we're actually, like all of Baba's programs now, we're shifting them there. And I can hire for free. So like that venue, for Surya Bhai's program, we inquired at the local hotel. They quoted us £250 for 1 hour. So for 2 hours, they were going to charge us £500. And it just like is a room with chairs, like nothing special, just a room with chairs. Only 70 people. That room we had for Surya Bhai's program was a 210-seater capacity. We got for free. And we had all the atrium in them. So my feeling is all of that good karma will go to the university, right? And the university is doing good work. Many souls are doing good work. They will get like multi-million fold, and all the Brahmins' blessings. They got the Brahmins' vibrations. People are coming from all over the world every day into that place. They will collect the vibrations and then go and do their good work. That's the university where the lateral flow tests were invented for COVID, like that. So many important things are being done there, and Brahmins are going there, and we're thinking of having even morning class there every day in that place, right? So if you think about it, I've been going there for years right now, having yoga, having Baba's remembrance. And then from that remembrance, new services emerging there. Then hopefully that will then create new service. So never think that you're going to work, oh, it's a burden, oh, it's a problem. No. Go with the view that you are going there to serve. And even if the only service you're doing is Baba's remembrance, that's great service, because that's the highest service anyway. And so you watch magic begin to happen. About 20 years ago, when I was a teacher, I was working in school support services at Oxfordshire County Council, and they put us all into one big building, school support services building. And I had the thought that I will offer weekly meditation because everyone's busy, and they had the school in the building for those that have been expelled from the school. So the most disruptive children, they had the school for them in our building where we were all based. And that was chaos. Like the teachers who teach in that school, wow. I remember the sister, she was a deputy principal. She used to come to these meditations. And one week, one of the students actually hit her and broke her jaw. I mean, it's very, very, the great work these souls are doing. We need these souls. And I thought a few people will come. I held it Friday. I thought end of the week, Friday, 3:30. Nearly the whole building came. I had 40 people coming, for these meditations. And they really appreciate it, end of the week, just to be able to come and have a space to meditate like this. So you'll be amazed at how having remembrance in your workplace, it can create service, separate things, many things can come. And I mentioned this event to one of my colleagues. We never talked about meditation, never mentioned anything. And then she says to me, oh, in January, I went on a mindfulness course. Did you? Never mentioned anything to me about meditation, but people are going. She paid to go on that course as well. And here we can offer it for free. So in this way, Baba is saying remembrance. Involve Shiv Baba in everything you do. Your work, your family. It's about transferring all of your attachments. So this is the main meditation we do. It's called remember. Having all relationships with one. So thanks, sister. You gave me a chance to have a big glance on what I wanted to talk about. Do you want to come back on that?
No, this was just really, really needed by me today. And I thank you so much for elaborating like you did. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to come in with reflections?
Shanti, Brother Shailen, I'm so glad that Lynette she asked that question because I have something that I want to ask. Before I came to Baba, every night before I went to bed, all these people, I would see faces of all these different people. And it's like I never knew these people. I don't know who they are. Some of it was pleasant, some of it was disturbing. But I was seeing all of these faces before I went to bed. But when I came to Baba, that was not happening to me anymore. But what got me very concerned recently was about 1 or 2 nights ago, the same thing happened again. And all these faces are flashing in front of me. Why am I seeing these people that I never knew before? I didn't think I ever knew them. And you gave me an answer because I have to focus on the one. So I'm trying to understand why this was happening to me and why did it happen to me again? Om Shanti.
Shanti. So yeah, we're storing all of these memories of 63 births. So if you think about how many people you've seen, even in one lifetime, or everything you see and hear gets recorded inside of the soul. And Baba tells us that we take all those memories with us. So it could be those many, many memories of many, many births, they're just emerging in front of you. And what Baba says is that when these things happen, just pick up a morally and just read a few points of the morally or listen to something and just fill your mind with new thoughts. And then, as I mentioned, I would recommend writing to Baba and just sharing to Baba whenever this happens. And Baba says, hand over your burdens to me. So all of this, you have to hand over to Baba, and then you focus on your remembrance.
Thank you so much. This morning was very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Om Shanti, brother.
Om
And
Shanti.
I just wasn't going to say it, but I realized that I had a similar experience yesterday. It was a very small thing that was sort of pulling me again and again towards expressing myself in a certain way because this is something I do and this is also a respect to my work, and I even started voicing it out to other people, someone, just not many people, but someone in the office. And but it was to do with our family. BK family and internally, and I spoke about it, but I never reacted, but instantly this thought just came in my mind, okay, Baba, I'm not going to do it because I'm your child. And no matter how much it is very important to me, I'm just giving it to you. And like you said, giving it to Baba at the right time, Baba gave me a beautiful experience this morning of just by giving it, he's taken care of it. And I really feel that it's very, very pivotal to tell it to Baba, because Baba is really listening. Sure.
Thank you. Yes, all of this is called yoga prayog. So it's called the experimenting with yoga. And all of this is around, until you try it, you don't really know. You know, it's only when we do it. Each of us must individually do this. I think all of you are familiar with the imagery of the gopis and gopis and Krishna. And in many Indian houses, they will have this picture of how each gopi has their own Krishna that they're dancing with. So Radha and Krishna might be in the middle, and then each of the gopis is also dancing with their own Krishna. And Baba explains that this is the memorial of each Brahmin remembering Shiv Baba separately. Like you sort of, we all have the same Shiv Baba, and we all got our own Shiv Baba, right? And it's this, that we are all different. And we all got different roles in the drama. So this is about bringing Shiv Baba into your drama and making that, I call it like a contract. You know, what is Baba going to do? What am I going to do? And like, it was only, I'd forgotten for a few days. And then this morning at Amrit Lela, I remembered what Baba was telling us to do last Sunday. I thought it was a few things last Sunday, which was very, very profound. And although I've heard this Modi, I reckon I've read and heard this Modi about 100 times. And it was only last Sunday that I understood what Baba is actually saying about a couple of points. And it was around the practice of the consciousness of being an angel. And he was saying that you got this sanskar of seeing the body. So Baba is saying, okay, see the body, but see yourself in an angelic body and see others in an angelic body. And you see, every method that Baba gives us, it unlocks some siddhis, some spiritual capabilities. And what Baba said was, as you practice this angelic form, and I have to admit, I've not done it as much as I should have this week, but because I remembered again this morning, I'm going to practice a lot today. And I'm going to practice, because the way Baba put it was, practice 1 month, your practice will increase, then second month will be better than the first month, and so on. So Shiv Baba was saying Brahma Baba was very focused on this practice, and he became an angel. And what Baba was explaining was there for 2 siddhis that you will unlock through this. The first one is you will gain Baba's protection. And I hadn't, this hadn't registered in my mind until last Sunday, that because all of us as human beings are vulnerable. And, you know, anything can happen to any of us, just, you know, in our house, outside of our house, anything can happen. So the main thing we all need is Baba's protection. And then, of course, internally, we need Baba's protection from Maya and vices and other things as well. So Baba's protection is the most important thing. And even devotees, well, they'll ask mostly for God's protection, won't they? That's the most important bit. And Baba's actually giving us a clear method to gain that protection. It's not even like abstract. It's so clear. You practice being in an angelic body and seeing others in an angelic body, and you will gain Bapada's protection. And the second siddhi that you get is you will have the experience of Brahma Baba hugging you. You will have experienced the great embrace. And see, in Hinduism, there's a big mythology around Brahma's arms. So there are temples of multiple arms of Brahma. He's the creator God. And so to be the arms of Brahma, they're like considered like he created everything. So the arms are very, very significant. And so this embrace, and you've got the angel Adam, you've got the creator Brahma embracing. And this is what Shiv Baba was saying to us. It's like comfort. And I can recall when the Global Retreat Center was first purchased in 1993 in Oxfordshire, just south of Oxford. The brothers and sisters were working very hard, as you can imagine. They work very hard at the retreat centers, and they were not having really any time to rest and look after themselves and so on. And I remember Baba giving a message through Lady Gulzar to them, that if they practice being bodiless, Baba will massage them and take away their tiredness. So I remembered that as well, along with what Baba was saying, that this embrace, it's like a removal of tiredness and a comfort into the soul. That don't worry, big Baba in the subtle region is looking after everything, and even bigger Baba in the soul world, we're looking after everything, don't worry. And it's like a removal of burden from the soul. So, it's looking at this, but we can't know it until we do it. Then it's an experience. Then no one can take that away from you, right? Once you got the experience, no one can take that away from you. And you know that this is what has to be done. So everyone, continue to experiment. Thanks for sharing.
Om Shanti, brother. Om Shanti, divine family. Yes, please. I really like the story, the history of the story of Rama Baba. It really makes a lot of sense to me. And it's wonderful how we should really read again and again this sirat, like this, how things came into the drama. And then I had this question in my mind, how, I wrote the question. It's like how the religions appear in the drama in a particular time. What makes that a religion will come here, will appear in this time, and then another religion in this time? Does it have a logical link with the confluence age, or was it like random?
No, it's not random.
Yeah.
It's definitely not random. It's sequential. So one of the rules of the drama is sequencing. And the brother who first created the picture of the tree of religions came to Baba in 1939, and his name was Dada Visharadhan. And I had an opportunity to sit with him personally on 3 occasions. So I asked him about this. And he was explaining that if you look at the picture of the tree of religions, I'm sure you've all seen it, otherwise you can just Google it. And the way that they made it, so they made that over a process of about 1 year. So he was like designing it, taking the design to Brahma Baba. Brahma Baba would give his thoughts on it. And then they would show it to the trans messenger. The trans messenger would show it to Shiv Baba. Shiv Baba would give feedback. And there was a whole process. And now there'll be more of a modern version of this picture as well. But, originally, I think still it has the main design is still according to the original one. So what Baba explains in the Moralies is you have the deity religion as the trunk of the tree. And so he says that religion is the religion that Allah creates. So Allah, Aval Deen. So Allah creates the first religion. Deen means dharma, religion. Aval is the first. So he, whether you call him Aval or Akhir, In fact, because it's a circle, it's both. So in Islam, these two words are very, very important. Awal din means the first day, and akhir din means the last day, and both have very big significance. But Shibaba explains, because it's a circle, the first day is the last day. So whether you call Shibaba the last religious founder or you call him the first religious founder, it is the same. So Allah is Awal and Allah is Akhir. And so he is the first. So his religion is the first religion of this cycle. But he does not create worshippers. Allah creates worship-worthy souls. So this is why the deity religion is not a religion of worshipping, but it is the living angels down here as deity. So Baba says there's no bhakti. You yourself are the deities. And then at the start of the Copper Age, Baba says we lose our purity. So we come in to body consciousness and we begin to use the vices. So we ourselves become the worshippers initially of Shiva. So it's something like we were saying, it like the conscience bites us. So something, we lose our purity, it triggers some memory inside of us of God, of Shiva, because we feel like a gap. We are no longer worship worthy. We are also now, we need our purity back. So Baba says that what we call Hinduism now, I mean, that is like a name much later given, but the original devotion of India is this worshipping of Shiva, of the incorporeal. There was not many gods, there was not many idols. Originally, the religion of India is this remembrance of incorporeal Shiva. But then that gets adulterated. So there's many moralities where Baba explains that the Indians themselves have shot themselves in the foot. So they lost their own religion. They forgot who Shiva is. They forgot who the deities are. And he says no other religion forgets as much as the Indians forget. So then, as the Indians become adulterated and they're worshipping many gods, it's the time for Ibrahim to incarnate. So he is the first religious father, and he is the father of the way, I don't know, East and West is not really a good description, but he is the first religious father of the faiths developing outside of India. So you've got the Indic traditions, and you've got the religious fathers who come into India, and what we now call Afghanistan, that's the place where Ibrahim incarnates. And Ibrahim is the father of the Middle East religions. And so his main message is God is not in these idols, God is one. And so it's this taking back. And he also brings back discipline, law, structure back. Not just you can do anything. But if you look at the religions after India became multiple gods and multiple idols, you look right across the old traditions, Egypt, Greece, like all those early empires, they all became multiple gods. So we have a period of polytheistic religions before the religious fathers come. And so then the first religious father is Ibrahim. And in our picture of the tree, his branch is left side first. So then you got Moses and the Jewish faith develops there. And then Baba says the sequencing is the next religious father comes into India, and that's the Buddha. So that branch is shown on this side. As I'm looking, it's my right side. So that's then the next sequencing is back on the left side into the Middle East again. I'm just using this term Middle East because it's like common term. You understand the region. So it really means there's only two places where the main religious fathers come, either India or they come in the Middle East. There's only two places. So these are the two holy lands for the world. And so the next one is Christ coming into Jesus. So that is in the left side. And then the next one after that is, usually most people don't know him outside of India. And Baba he says he's a religious father. His name is Shankar, Adi Shankar. So not to be confused with the deity Shankar. And the word Acharya means teacher. So he is known as Shankar Acharya. And he is the father of the sannyasi. And they really developed modern day. So the Hinduism we know now, this is to him. Because mostly India had become Buddhist. So after the Buddha, that religion just spreads everywhere. And so many kings, they become Buddhist. So then they spread that everywhere. So the original Hinduism, it becomes suppressed or it becomes lost. And so Shankar, he is very important for like bringing back everything together again. Otherwise, we would not really have. So Baba gives a lot of credit to the sannyasi religion for preserving the traditions and the faiths. Like you look at many of those other polytheistic religions, we don't have much about them. You look right across Africa and Australia and North America, South America. Once the other religions came, they wipe out a lot of the traditions. But in India, this didn't happen. And this is to do with the sannyasi religion. They have played this role. And they are like the gurus now of the Hindus. And then it goes back left again. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, he is there. He is the final prophet, the final messenger of the Middle East tradition in the left side. And then one more in India is Guru Nanak, the founder of the Sikh religion. So if you look at Baba's picture of the tree, these are the branches. So Baba says each of these fathers, they have like a family inside of the big family. And in particular, the three major faiths, Buddhism, Christianity, and Islam. And these three, they rule also into India. And so over thousands of years, a lot of conversion happens. So although India is older than everything else, but actually they get converted because they've been ruled over by so many empires. But then Akhir, so Shiv Baba comes again into India. So what Baba's doing again, he's restoring back his religion, back again. And he is taking everyone back home again because he is actually the seed. And each of the,
Akhir, the last.
He is the Akhir. So he is the Awal and he is the Akhir. So this is now that time of him. So the Brahmin religion is the Akhir religion. The deity religion is the Awal religion. But it's total sequence, nothing random. Nothing random. Absolutely this is why Baba says it's predestined. You cannot alter this sequence.
But when Muhammad came, he says, I am not the first Muslim. It is Abraham, you're the first Muslim, and he is the one who called you Muslim, like surrendered ones, because Islam means actually to surrender and to be peace, salam, to be. It has this. So he said, I am not the first. I am just the. I am not the first Muslim. It is Abraham who called you Muslims. So for me, it is just the continuation of the same. Like in the tree, he would be in the same branch of Abraham, actually. No.
Yes. So in the Muralis, Baba also does say that. So he will say that Islam is the first of the west of the left side. So he does say that. But of course, Jewish religion will also claim that. So I think why we keep it separate in our tree is to also give respect to the Jewish faith, because they also will claim Abraham as their father. So this is why we separate those branches in our tree, and we also want to, because some Muslim traditions as well, they also do see the Prophet Muhammad as their main starting point. So we also want to respect them. And this is why we give the Prophet Muhammad also this status as a religious father. And we give that branch because after him, really, the spread of Islam. And even now, I was listening to some scholars, like not BKs, scholars, and we were explaining how really the Prophet Muhammad's family is the most successful family in history, because it is really his descendants that have shaped this world that we are living in. And that's where you got that spread of Islam. Still now, they would trace that, the like hereditary linkage to the Prophet Muhammad's family.
Yeah, and in the prayers, the 5 prayers, we have this Abrahamic prayer at the end, and it is translated, "Oh God, may you, oh God, may you صلي على محمد وعلى آل محمد." May you, yeah, صلي على, it means like connect to Muhammad and the Al Muhammad, as you did for Abraham and Al Ibrahim, like as you did for Abraham. Connect to us, to Muhammad and his clan, or would say, as you did with Abraham and his clan. And bless Muhammad and his family as you did to Abraham and his clan. And this salat, we call it the salat Ibrahimiyya. It means the Abrahamic prayer. So, actually Muslims feel that they are just only a prolongation, what do we call this in English? To prolong.
Yes, it's like a continuation.
Continuation. But what we actually but what we express is that when Muhammad came, he brought some details on how to deal with society, how to deal with money, a lot of details. But Abraham did only the main message of God being incorporeal, to destroy the idols. He didn't give how to live every day, these little details. But when Muhammad came, he structured the daily life from the dawn to the sunset. But actually, it is just he said, I just came to make this religion a little bit complete. إنما بعثت لأتمم مكارم الأخلاق. I just came to complete the dharna, or the akhlaq, dharna. But it is the same faith.
Yes, that's also my understanding, and it's like my interpretation is we got 2 very significant souls, Brahma and Abraham. And this, you see, this word Raham is in both names, which means mercy, compassion. And I think that these are creator souls. So Baba says he establishes 3 religions. And then Abraham is also the father of 3 religions, 3 major religions. So Judaism, Christianity, Islam, they will all see Abraham as like the great-grandfather. And the Indian traditions, Brahma is the creator, the great-grandfather of that. So this word Brahm, it being in both names, I think this is the creator in India and also in the Middle Eastern traditions. Both of these are significant. So now is the time of Brahma, and Brahma is telling us God is only one. Remember only one. In the Copper Age, it's the time of Abraham. He is telling us God is only one. Remember only one. So I think both of them, as they're like great grandfathers. Thanks for clarifying that, sister. Would anyone else like to come in?
Om Shanti, morning. I have not really understood most of the Muslim religion. Today, a lot was clarified. But, Baba talks about the founding fathers, and we talk about Muhammad being a messenger. Where Muhammad is concerned, Prophet Muhammad, is that there was not a incarnation in him. It was just a messenger, like the others would have had the soul coming in to establish whatever it is, the message and the religion. But what about Prophet Muhammad? Did a soul come into him, or is just that he came and he just to bring a message and just continued? Sure,
Yeah. Yeah, no, my understanding is that the Prophet Muhammad is the human being, like we got Brahma Baba,
Okay.
and then the messenger soul incarnates. And
Okay.
am I right? Am I right, Salwa Ben, that he taught for 23 years? Is that right?
Yeah, and actually in Islam, we knew that the Quran that he taught was not his speech. It was the angel Jibril, Gabriel, who was speaking through him, the Quran. So it is the same phenomenon. It is the support, like the device is Muhammad, and he was a prophet then. But when Jibril, Gabriel, it is another soul. So Gabriel is another soul. Actually, he who was like Christ, given this. Because actually, what I think is that Baba says, I am the ocean of knowledge, but the souls, when they first come, they are also knowledgeful. They have knowledge. They will give knowledge, but it is not the ocean of knowledge. No other soul is like the ocean of knowledge, like Shiva Baba. So my understanding is that Christ or Gabriel or I don't know other souls, they would bring, because they are very pure, they will bring knowledge according to the time, according to the place. But they wouldn't give the whole knowledge because it's not the time. It's not Akhir din yet. It's Copper Age. So Muhammad, yes, sister. Muhammad actually was, I believe, I believe he would live some lives of the early Copper Age, Muhammad, his first incarnation. I was thinking of that today. It's strange. Maybe the very first Copper Age he would be there, or one life of the Silver Age. But then he would come to establish the religion with Gabriel, with this soul, Gabriel, who would come for the first time. You know what I mean? So, because there are a lot of hadith, a lot of his, not Quran, but hadith, he is describing the heaven really, really very similar as Baba talk, as Baba describe about how relationships will be, how relationships will be. He has described that there will be no lust in heaven. There will no sexuality. He has talked about that, Muhammad. So I think he had some memories or of Merli or of his own experience, I don't know, but he would describe how relationships would be in heaven, that there will be families and there will be prosperities and grapes and rivers and things like that. So maybe I don't know who was speaking, Gabriel or the soul of Muhammad, but um yeah, I don't know, brother. Can you give some light on that?
Yeah, no, thanks for explaining that. Yes, I see it that way as well. So that the Prophet Muhammad, like we have Brahma Baba, he's a human being who's been here longer. That's my understanding. So the Prophet Muhammad, Jesus, Nanak, it was Prince Siddhartha was the chariot for the Buddha. So all of these, they are here longer. And then in the Prophet Muhammad's case, it's then the messenger soul who incarnates and speaks the Quran. And it's after that that you got so many other Muslim souls coming from the soul world. So the Prophet Muhammad is older, but there's souls who only when the messenger soul comes, then they are born. They are like the mouth-born progeny of the Quran. So many souls, they will only believe the Quran. They're not going to listen to anything else because they are like the mouth-born progeny. But for example, like you, Salwa Ben, you're also an older soul. So what happens is that you will then have some other experiences as well that we'll connect with. So all of us, we've been converted into different faiths and explored different faiths as the births have gone on. But Baba's telling us originally who we are. Whereas many other souls, they're only in one particular faith. They're only staying in that. And this is why they're shown in a branch. Whereas with you souls, you are souls like you're starting in here and then taking birth, because you're going around a big cycle with many influences. And presumably also many religions that used to exist, they don't exist now. And we would have been following those religions in the past as well. So does that answer your question, Ben, as well?
Yes, this has cleared up quite a bit for me. This is one religion that I really didn't have much knowledge on. My sister is Muslim, actually, and she has taken quite clear take. We were born in Hindu homes, and she follows it fully. But I couldn't understand, especially with the Prophet Muhammad, as Abraham was there, and knowing that is Islam. Baba said that talks about the three main religion. So the role of Prophet Muhammad was a bit confusing for me. So thank you for that. Thank you, sister.
Yes, like Salwa Ben was explaining, it was useful that this is why you'll hear in the Morally that Baba does attribute Islam to Ibrahim. And you see, at the time where Baba is coming from, that region of India as well, there wouldn't have also been many Jewish people. Like there are not that many Jewish people in India anyway, but also in that region of India, maybe even none. A lot of the Jewish communities are around Mumbai and around those parts of India. And so his exposure to those traditions is less. However, Baba, he wanted the Jewish tradition to also be shown there. So this is why we do have that branch there, because they're also very old. And so we have a separate branch connecting in with after the messenger comes into the Prophet Muhammad. And then you see it was only Sullivan, I think I'm right, only like 60 years and such big empire, like big caliphate from Spain right across into Arabia. So this would be all of these new souls coming very fast. But they came after the messenger, not before. So even though you trace back to Abraham, there was not Muslim caliphate like running across the world. This has all happened after the Prophet Muhammad. And so this is why it would be more accurate to attribute it to them, because you look at the impact on history and geography, this only happens after the Quran. And then what you got is like, Salwa Ben will be able to explain more, but my basic understanding is you got Sufi traditions, Shia traditions, other traditions of Islam. And a lot of it is linked to different family members of the Prophet Muhammad. They become like the guru of different faiths, of different traditions. And so actually the Muslims, they fight among themselves a lot, really, and then with other Arab. But still, it is the Prophet Muhammad's family. So you will still see many names, like they call themselves Ahmed or Muhammad, like still that is the name, or Ali, like, and that is the name of one of the relatives of the Prophet Muhammad.
My name is Alawi. I am actually, our tree is come from Ali bin Abi Talib, which is the cousin of Muhammad, and who married the daughter of Muhammad. So basically, Muhammad would be my grandfather, because I would be, my grandmother is his daughter and his cousin. They married and then bring to Hassan and Hussein, and then the tree came back.
Yeah.
I would not came back, but I mean grow from these two souls.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what you got is like, although we're depicting it like as one big tree, really you got to sort of look at each branch as a tree. And so the founder is like the seed, and then it all branches out. And I think, you see, each of the religion has different specialities and also different timings and different seasons. But with Islam, I also feel we shouldn't just see it as a religion. We got to also see it like a clan, and also like almost like a political army. It's like, like it's like a warrior tradition among many of those early souls as well of Islam. So they would spread a lot of Islam and it became a kingdom. So sometimes Baba says that for some religion, the kingdom comes much later. So like with Christianity, they didn't have a kingdom for 300-400 years later. But with Islam, it was very quick. And because out of the big religions, it is the most recent, it's almost like they're catching up like that. So things are done really quickly. So older religions, they did slowly. But Islam, if you look in just 60, 70 years, big caliphate, the different traditions. So I look at Islam as religion, as clan, and also as like political kingdom. Later on, like I was mentioning Guru Nanak, so even the Sikh traditions, they have 10 gurus in the Sikh traditions. So Guru Nanak is the first one, and you might have heard of Guru Govind Singh, he's the 10th one. And they will call the gurus Raj Yogis. So, right, so this title that Baba gives us, this is the title of the 10 gurus of Sikhism. And the word Raj means politics. And each of the 10 gurus of Sikhism, not only did they establish the religion and give the teachings, but they created a city. So each of the 10 gurus, they created 10 cities. These are the 10 original cities of Sikhism. And so similarly with the Islamic traditions, they were not just like spiritual teachers, but they also created civilization, like big empires and kingdom very quickly. And it is a family clan. Would you agree, Salvador?
Yes, brother, because I always refer to this prayer that is said in the every 5 times a day. at the end, this Abrahamic prayer. Oh God, may you like be linked. Salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. May you be linked like Salli or be in yoga, because Salat is to link with Muhammad and Ali Muhammad, the clan of Muhammad, as you did with Abraham and the clan of Abraham. So this is the prayer which is repeated 5 times a day, that makes us makes the soul be linked to Abraham. Actually, it is, and Abraham is the powerful message of being incorporeal. I think maybe this is why it's really very powerful every time someone talks of Islam, because, and I was thinking of that today. Baba says today, remember me, the one without image. Don't remember, even if you see Brahma, Baba, don't let your intellect go to the image. And I think this little bit of knowledge was the most powerful message that Islam will sustain. It is that you are without image, you are bodiless. This is what you are originally. This is what I think makes this religion very percutant, to percutant.
Yeah, pertinent.
Pertinent is this. It is a very powerful. This is the main thing that really attracts the soul, even in Raja Yoga, is that you have no image. You are a soul. You exist, but you have what you see in the mirror is not you. I think this is what really gives us life again. I mean, soul consciousness.
I agree. So each of the faiths, they have different contributions. And so,
Yeah.
like you say, I think that is one of them. And what will happen is maybe 95 or 98% of brothers and sisters who are Muslim, they probably came after the messenger, and they will be connected with the branch. But then there will be some like yourself, like you said, they're actually older souls. They were here before. And then later they are part of the Islamic faith, but they were here before, like all of us. And so those ones, they are going to be more attracted as bit by bit to Shub Baba's knowledge, because this is still an older message. This is the original message. This is the Abul Deen. And so this is what Baba is taking us back to. So same with, say, Sikhism, there will be some, they only came after the gurus, right? So they are just connected with the Sikh gurus, and they will just stay there. But then there will be some who are older. And you see them sometimes in India, in Madhuban and things, they're wearing their turbans and their beards and their bouquets. But because they're older souls of that. And it's the same with all of them. So you've got the older souls, and Baba says that you are the ancestors, even of Abraham. So you are the ones who are there right from the beginning. And so you are the ones who are remembered, even by Abraham and others, as the ones being in heaven, being in the golden age. So you are the ancestors for everyone. But the Brahmins, we will have all spread around the trees. So there will be ancestors everywhere. And we are just talking about the main faiths, but there are so many faiths of tradition.
Om Shanti. I am so glad, sister. You are very knowledgeable in the Muslim religion, and you were able to reveal. Why am I getting so emotional? You were able to reveal certain things that connect with Baba, that, there's no lust in heaven. And also, I always wanted to understand why Baba makes mention of the Muslim of Allah all the time. I couldn't understand, because in my mind, I always knew that the Muslim religion spread throughout the world in violence, through violence. And so that's stuck in my mind. And I'm saying, but why does Baba talk about Allah all the time? and I couldn't understand. But those who are connected with that Muslim religion are very devoted. And I think it's because they really understand the true meaning of the religion. So that's what I couldn't understand why Baba talks about Allah all the time in the Murlis. Om Shanti.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think it's just accurate in the drama that we got souls like Salwa and because Baba says that we need Brahmins of different traditions and different faiths. So it was in the drama that we all spread out, because when we got to come back now, the Akhir religion of Shiv Baba, and he's explaining us the knowledge. If we didn't have, he always says the double foreigners are the decoration of the Brahmin family. The double foreigners are like the crown of the Brahmin family, because we need people of many different traditions to explain to us how we're all connected. And like you're saying, actually, many Muslims have very bad impressions of them. But I've got many Muslim friends, and they're the most peaceful people I ever met. They're so much more peaceful than me, even. So, the reality is that those are really practicing the religion. They are very peaceful, and they have got that connection with Allah, as you say. And I think it helps us in the sense of just understanding the morally deeper as well. That you see, Baba knew that he's going to be speaking with different backgrounds and different traditions. So he's trying to also connect with everyone. So there's so many layers to the morally as well. Thanks. Would anyone else? We've had quite a detailed chit chat about two things, so we've only got a few minutes left. Ranjan Banisingh, do you want to say anything? Okay. Else like to share anything? It can be about another topic as well. Everyone's content. Shall we finish with some meditation then? I'll speak a commentary. That'll be quite nice because we've had a lot of stimulation and thought and words. And so let's go into silence. That was today's blessing as well. So everyone, bring that picture of the tree in front of you. And we're so fortunate, aren't we, that we got this knowledge at this time of the cycle. So we can bring together all the pieces of the jigsaw and understand the full knowledge directly from the ocean of knowledge. And as we look at that picture of the tree in front of us, we see that the Brahmins have gathered now around the seed. We look at the seed, the beautiful seed, sparkling, full of all the colors. And we can see how his energy connects with all parts of the tree. For him, the whole tree is lovely because it all emerges from the seed. He is the father of the unlimited. No one can really claim that he belongs to their religion alone, because he belongs to all souls. And he likes the variety within this tree. It never occurs to him that everyone should be the same. He knows that this is a tree which is diverse, and this is a tree which is sequential. It is not possible for everyone to come into the drama at the same time, and it is not possible for everyone to be the same and believe the same. This is a variety drama of sequences. And so now we know that. We look at the seed and we marvel. How does Shiv Baba satisfy everyone? Isn't it remarkable? He can just sit in one place in the soul world and give vibrations and blessings to everyone. He is the one soul connected with the whole tree. So as we remember Shiv Baba in the soul world, we see that this is an upside down tree. The seed is at the top, and all of the souls belonging to the tree, they're like a garland around Baba's neck, like a necklace, sparkling jewels. Everyone sparkle different, everyone unique. And every soul is very powerful as well. We can see the religious fathers, and they have a special sparkle about them. They are very powerful. And we know that there are many souls with many talents, and each of those talents seem to have their own sparkle. And as we connect with the seed, we become part of the roots. We become an ancestor for the whole of humanity. And today, Baba reminded us that in the soul world, silence is a substance. Silence is not an absence of something, but it is an actual power. It's a substance, it's a thing. And so I look at Shri Baba as the ocean of silence. And I feel the waves of the ocean of silence beginning to wash over me. And as a wave comes over me, I let it absorb into me. And I'm looking at the ocean of silence and feeling the waves of silence, one by one, slowly washing over me. And I feel God's silence coming into me, the soul. And it resonates with a part of me that is silent, a deep part of me. That silence inside of me, I recognize is the same silence that's inside of God. And both silences vibrate at the same frequency. So as I absorb God's silence, the silence within me is triggered. It emerges. My Baba is silence. I am silence. And then I think about the third silence that I experience, and that is the silence of nirvana. By now, the remembrance of everyone else has merged, and I feel like the only two souls that exist are me and Shri Baba. And I'm sitting with the ocean of silence in the galaxy of silence, the cosmos of silence, that is nirvana. And I can feel the silence of God and the silence of my soul echoing through nirvana. But I also begin to feel like nirvana is itself pulsating with its own comforting silence. The silence of the sweet home. The comfort of this embracing silence. So I look at Shri Baba and I am aware that I'm being enveloped by the silence of nirvana, and the waves of silence of Shri Baba are washing over me. And I'm sitting in the thought, I am silence. And I realize I'm in this space beyond time. Here, there's no past, there's no future, there are no actions. I'm just stable in this eternal space. And I take this accumulation of silence and this awareness that I can just come back here any moment, any time, doesn't take me long. And through the day, I'm going to keep revisiting this space. But I come back into the awareness of the body, but I sit myself very firmly in my forehead. And I keep the awareness that I am an incorporeal soul, and I am silence. My father is the ocean of silence. My home is the world of silence. And so down here, I am going to bring that silence. That material of silence doesn't exist down here. I am going to bring it. I'm going to stay in Baba's remembrance and remember Baba in the home as I perform actions. And I'm going to cultivate this silence into those actions. Om Shanti. So thank you everyone for attending, for inspiring such a rich discussion. And it felt good to also join together in a few minutes of meditation, and I could feel how we all connected. Also, warm greetings to those of you watching later on. And we wish you all a very good week. And we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Shanti. Thank you so much.
Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Shanti. Shanti.